In this video, I am going to explain various operators and built-in functions available in SQL. Talk about the operators. Operators basically can be grouped into these 5 various categories that are arithmetic operators, relational operators, logical, special, and string operators. And if we group the built-in functions available in SQL, that can be grouped into character or strings related functions, numeric calculations, or the functions which are related to the numeric calculations, the functions which are related to date handling, then group or aggregate functions, then conversion functions, and then some general and other functions. If we consider the arithmetic operators, you can see that plus, minus, multiplication and division, these operators can be applied to perform some arithmetic operations there in SQL. For example, if you want to apply this plus operation on two columns that are salary and commission, and after adding the two columns, we are going to apply this condition, then we can put this plus operator in between these two column names. So it will be firstly adding the column that are salary and the commission together, and then it will be applying this condition. Similarly, suppose you want to apply a minus operator, then you can put a minus symbol in between the two columns again. If you want to apply multiplication, then again you can apply by using the star operator. These operators can also be applied in update commands in SQL, where you want to perform some calculations on the values existing in the table, and then you want to update those values after performing some calculations. Suppose you want to add some value to the existing values. Suppose you want to update, let us say, salary by giving some hike, then you can update by applying this either this plus or by using the multiplication operator there. If we talk about the logical operators, you know that there are and, or, and not as logical operators available, and corresponding to that we have these words that are and, or, and not in SQL to mean the different logical operators. And when we are applying AND operator, it means the condition will be having two or more number of parts, and all such parts must be evaluated to true. Only then it will be returning some rows there in the output. Whereas when we are putting OR inside the conditions, it means either part of that condition is true, then it will be returning the rows corresponding to that part. And similarly, when we are putting not, it is inverting the condition. Like if you see this SQL statement, that is select star from employee where department number not in 10 and 20, then it will be returning all the departments where the department number is neither 10 nor 20. If we consider the relational operators, you know that these are the various relational operators that are equal to, not equal to, less than, greater than, or equal to, less than, or equal to. You can apply these operators to put the various conditions on the attributes that are present in the table. For example, when we have to select all the rows where department number is equal to 10, you may be writing in this way. And when the department number is not equal to 10, then you may be writing in this way. Similarly, when we are interested in selecting all the employees when salary is greater than or equal to 3000, then we will be writing in this way. When salary is less than 2000, we will be writing in this way, and salary is less than or equal to 2000, we will be writing in this way. We also have some special operators in SQL that are like, between and, in, any, and all. We already have seen a lot of examples related to like operator, that is basically used to compare the string patterns in the tables. And if we talk about between and, that is basically used to find out the rows that satisfy a range of values. For example, if we execute this SQL statement, it will be returning all the employees whose salary is ranging from 1500 to 3500, and including both of these limits, that is the employees whose salary is equal to 1500 and 3500 will also be included in the region. We will be discussing in any and all operators in more details when we will be taking the nested subqueries. You know that when we have to execute like operator, we use the percentage and underscore and the combination of both to make different patterns. And also there is a operator that is these parallel lines to represent the concatenation. Okay, so these are the examples of like, and after that we have this example of the concatenation. Here in this example we are applying these two pipe symbols in between the different column names like employee name, job, hire date. So through these pipes we are actually trying to concatenate all the three columns into the one output. So when we will be printing or will be getting the output with select command, all these three columns will be concatenated together and there will be no space in between. Then coming to the built-in functions in SQL. SQL provides a number of inbuilt functions that can be used to fulfill the different activities. Advantages of the functions include that it can be used to perform the complex calculations on the data. Functions can modify individual data items. Functions can very easily manipulate output from group of rows. Functions can alter the date formats for display. If we categorize the built-in functions in SQL, that can be broadly categorized into these 5 categories that are character or the string related functions, arithmetic functions, date manipulations, conversion functions, and then the aggregate or the group functions. So first of all, let us consider string functions or the functions that are related to string manipulations. The first function in that category is char or CHR. It takes one value and it will be returning its character equivalent. That is basically opposite of ASCII function. Yes, you must be knowing this thing that the values, be it numeric or the characters, are internally stored as some ASCII values. So when we have to convert some numeric values to their corresponding ASCII equivalents, then we can use this ASCII function. And when we have to convert a ASCII value back to their character representations, then we can use this char function. So you can see here that in this select command we are using char 37, char 100 and char 101, and we are also using here as some dummy variables like a, b, c that are actually here to rename the outputs that are going to be printed on the screen. That is, the outcome related to this char 37 will be renamed as A, whereas char 100 will be as B, and this char 101 will be as C. And here we are using this system table that is dual. I will be explaining that in the coming slides. So after executing this select command, we will be seeing their corresponding characters. So a character related to this ASCII value 37 is this percentage, whereas corresponding to 100 is this small d, and corresponding to this 101 is this lowercase letter e. Now coming to this dual table. Dual is a small Oracle table created for testing functions or doing quick calculations which has one row and one column. Yes, this is a table that has one row and one column, and it performs a lot of calculation by using this one row and one column only. It will be returning that results of some numeric calculations, some string manipulations by using this dual table only. Now the next function in string manipulations is concatenate or concat. That will be basically taking two strings, that are string 1 and string 2 as arguments, and it will be concatenating those two strings together and it will be returning a single string that will be the concatenation of both of these strings, and it will be concatenating those strings in this order only. That is, the string 2 will be appended after the string 1. So here you can see this example, that select concatenate, this is the string 1, then comma, this is the string 2. Then we are again using this dummy variable to represent the output. Then again we are using this dual table. So it is going to concatenate this information and then technology together, and it is going to be given as output this computer. Then the next function in strings functions is init cap. As the name suggests you, it will be capitalizing the first character of the string or the word which you are passing to it. For example, this command, that is select, then this function init cap, and then this string time is called, will be converted into this output, where the first letter of this string, that is T, has been capitalized. Had it been some digit or some special character, then it will remain unchanged. Then the next function is lower, that will be converting the case of all the letters into the lower case. Yes, it will be converting the case of all the letters. If there are some letters whose case cannot be converted, like again we have some digits or some special characters present in a string, then those letters will remain unaffected. And also, if the original string is of type char, you know that char is a type where the values are stored as some fixed length strings. Then when we are applying lower function on the char type the string, then the resultant will also remain same as the char. And the same is true for the varchar too. When the string on which the lower function is applied, if that is again in varchar, then the result will also remain the varchar. So here if we see this example, lower function, and then this is some string passed to this function, and this is again some output variable. So it is going to convert the case of all the letters to the lower case. Just opposite to that is this upper function, and that will be basically converting the case of all the letters from lower to the upper case. If the letters are already in the upper case, they will remain unchanged. And again, if there are some letters, special characters, and again some digits, then upper will not going to affect those letters. Then the next function is lpad or left pad function, and that basically takes these 3 parameters, that are string 1, then some numeric value, and then the optional parameter, that is string 2, and it will return string 1 after padding the string 2 from left to length x. That is, it will be padding the string 2 to the left of string 1 and will be making a new string of total length x. If the string 2 is less than x characters, then it will be obviously duplicating the string 2 to make the length equal to x. If the string 2 is more than x character, then it will be taking only first few characters to make the total string equal to x. If the string 2 is not specified, then by default it will be using the single blank for each space, or we can say n number of blank spaces will be padded to the left of the string 1. So let us see the example. Here in this example, we have this string, that is string 1, have a good day, and after that we have passed a value, that is 18, that is the value of x, and here we are not passing this string 2. And then again we have this output variable, that is first. So if we consider this example and count the total length of this string, it is 15. So lpad will be considering that blank as the padding, and it will be inserting 3 blank spaces to the left of this string 1 and will make this complete string equal to 18 characters, or the length of the string will become 18. Now in the next example we have given both that are x and the string 2, or the string which is to be padded to the left. Now you know that the length of this length of this string 1 is 15 and the new string to be padded is xy, that is having 2 length. So it is going to repeat it to make the total length equal to 20. So here you can see that these xy, xy and then x have been padded to the left to make this entire string of length 20. In the next example we have this total length is equal to 16 and the string to be padded remains same, that is xy. Now since we have to make the total length equal to 16 and the original string is already having 15 characters there, so it will be considering only the first character from this string 2 and it will be making this string as the result one. Yes, opposite to that is this write pad function that will be inserting or appending this string 2 to the right of string 1 by using the same approach. So you can see here that this is the original string 1. It has total 7 characters and we want to make the new string of 10 characters by padding this mark of exclamation to the right of this original string. So it will be making this output. Similarly, when we are given both the length and then these characters, so it will be repeating those characters to make this string again of this length. And now when we have the length of the resultant string less than the length of the original string, then it will be trimming that string to make the new string equal to this length. So here we have mentioned this length equal to 3, so it will be considering only the first 3 characters of this original string. Then we have the next function as write trim, and it will be taking the 2 strings that are the string 1 and string 2, and purpose of this function is that it will be returning the string 1 with the rightmost characters appearing in the string 2 removed, or whatever you will be mentioning here, it will be looking for those occurrences in the string 1 to the rightmost end and will be removing those characters from there in the string 1. If string 2 is omitted, then it will be taking as a single blank, or we can say it will be removing the single blank from the right side, and it will work in this way that it will scan the string 1 starting from the rightmost position. When the first character not in string 2 is encountered, the result is returned. So see the example. Here we are passing this as the original string, that is, this is string, and then we have not passed anything as string 2, so it will be considering this single blank as the string 2, and then it will be removing all such occurrences from this one, so it will be returning this as the output. When we are given both, that are the string 1 and the string 2, so it will be looking for the occurrences of this string 2 in the string 1 from the rightmost position and will be removing all such occurrences from there, the string 1. So this is the original string. After applying rtrim, it will be removing all the x occurrences from there. So that will be our output. Now in this example, we have passed this another substring, that is well. So it will be looking for this well present there in this string at the rightmost end, and once it will encounter that there is a mismatch, it will stop the matching and it will remove all the matched substring from there. If we want to trim a string by specifying some value, then it will be useful to use this trim function that will basically look for the occurrence of the substring anywhere in the substring, and then it will be trimming that string, or it will be, we can say, looking for that substring, and then if it is there, then it will be given as output. So here you can see that there are some white spaces in the beginning, some white spaces at the end, and so it will be removing those white spaces and it will give this India as output. Then the next function is replace, and it takes 3 parameters, that are the string, or we can say the string where we have to search something, and then the second parameter is the string which we want to search, and the third one is the parameter which we want to replace with the search string. So it will be working in this way that it will search the given string, that is the first parameter, for the occurrences of this search string, and if you have passed the replacement string, that it will be all such occurrences by this replacement string. So this is the example. So here we have passed this as the first parameter, that is the string. This is this and that, and here we want to search this th present there in the string, and we want to replace that by this replacement string, that is capital B. So here you can see that we have th present there and th present there, and after executing this replace, we will be getting this as output. If we do not pass the replacement string, then it will be searching for this search string and will be removing all the occurrences from the given string. Like here in this example, this is again the given string, and we have to search for this th, and the result is that it has removed all occurrences from this given string. And when we don't supply the search string also, then it will be returning the original string. Substring function will be basically taking 3 parameters, given string, then the 2 values that are a and b, that are numeric values, where a will be telling us the left or the beginning of the substring to be considered, given as the position or the index of that character, that will be taken as the first character of the substring, and the b will be basically the number of characters that are to be considered in the substring starting from this left position. If a is 0, then it will be treated as 1, or the beginning of the substring. That is, we will be considering the first character of the substring, first character of the given string as the beginning character. If b is positive, then it will be counting the total number of characters from this beginning, and up to that number of characters, it will be considering this as substring. If b is not present, then it will be, by default, it will be considering the entire string. Means once the beginning is given, it will be considering all the remaining part as the substring. If b is less than 1, then it will be returning this null. So here you can see that in this example we have given only a, so it will be considering this second position, and after that, since b is not given, so it will be considering as this as the substring. When we have given this the both, that are a and b, so it will be considering this as beginning of the substring, and then it will be counting the 4 characters together, and that will be our substring. After that, it will not consider the remaining characters. So that's why we have this output. When the b is minus, then obviously it will be counting. When b is minus, then it will be counting the number of characters from the right side. When a is minus, so it will be beginning from the left side. So here it will count these 5 characters. When a is negative, it will be starting from the right side of the string and will count that many numbers of the characters. So here it will be counting these 5 characters, and that will be treated as substring. When this a is again negative and b is also given, so it will be moving to this position, that is -5 from the right side first, and after that it will be counting these 3 characters. So here you can see that it will be moving to this location, that is this D first, and after that it will be considering the 3 characters starting from there. So that's why we have this output, that is D, then the white space, then B as the output. Then the next function we have translate. So translate function will be basically taking the string which is to be translated, and from string, the translate function will be having this format. It is the original string which may be having the occurrences of some from string which is to be translated to string, and it will be returning a string with the all occurrences of each character in from string replaced by its corresponding character in toString. Also, if from string is longer than toString, any extra character in from string not in toString are removed from the string, since they have no corresponding characters, and the toString cannot be empty. And if any argument to translate is null, the result is null as well. So here in this example you can see that this is the given string having the occurrences of this from string. Like here we have this A, B, C, D, E, F as one occurrence there in this given string, and we want to translate this pattern that are present there in string into this one, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So after executing this function, we are going this output, that is A, B, C, D, F has been replaced by this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the next one, you can see that we have this A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J as the given string, and also we want to translate this string. This is our from string, this is our toString, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here we have less number of characters present there in the toString, so it will be translating this entire string into these 6 characters only. Then the next function is soundx, and that basically returns the phonetic representation of a string, and it is useful for comparing the words that are spelled differently but sounds like. For example, suppose this is a table given their employee, and there is some name, that is Smith, present there in this table, and we know that when we have this type of the presentation or when the Smith is written like this one, it is also going to be pronounced in the same way. So the soundx function will be finding this occurrence there in this table or in this column, that is ename, and will find its equivalent, we can say phonetic representation, and where this phonetic representation is matching, that will be given as output. Then the next category of the functions is the functions that are related to the date data types in SQL. Yes, date is one data type in SQL that basically is used to store date and time in the database. And so the functions here in this category takes the arguments of type date, and most of them returns the date values. Months between function is one exception that returns a number. Let us begin with the first thing, that is this system date or sysdate, that returns basically the current date of the system, and you can find out it by using this command, that is select sysdate from Duo. Then the next function is add months, that will be taking two parameters, that is a date D and x number of months, or even we may have this x as minus, that will be means it will be subtracting that number of months from the date. So for example, here this command, that is select add months, this is the date in DD MON then YY format, and we are adding 3 months to this date. Now you can see, yes, we have also another date, that is this 30th January, 0th here, and we are adding 1 month to that. So now you can see that in the first case we have added 3 months to this March, so we are getting here as June, and in this case we have added 1 month to this Jan, that is 30th Jan, and it will be considering that this is a leap year, so it will be adding, it will be finding that what will be the next date after the 1 month. Then the next function is months between, that basically calculates the number of months between the date 1 and date 2. If the both date 1 and date 2 have the same days component, or if the both are the last day of their respective months, then the result is an integer. Otherwise the result will contain the fractional portion of a 31-day month. For example, here we are given this select statement having these two dates, that is 12th April 71 and 12 March 97, and we want to calculate the months between them. Yes, now you can see that it will be subtracting date 2 from date 1, so that's why we have this minus number of months. And in the second case we have this 132.67742 as the number of months, so we have basically those as the complete months, and after that this is the part of the month where the month is represented as a 31-day month. Then the next function is last day, and it will be taking one parameter, that is date, and it will be returning the number of days that are left in this month. So let us take the example. Here it is given that 12 April 71 is the date, and we are interested in finding the last day. So it will be calculating that how many days are there left in this April. So you can find that we have 18 days left. Also here we are using this new function, that is toDate, that is basically used to convert this character type of data into this date type of data. The next function is next day. This function returns the date of next specified day of the week after we can say this date or the given date D. For example, if this is the date given to us, that is 7th May 02 year, and we want to find out that after this date when the Monday will be coming, then we may execute this next day function in this way. So it will be telling us that on the 30th May the Monday will be there. Next function is round, that takes date and a given format, and it returns the date D to the unit specified by the format. If the format is not specified, it defaults to the DD format, or we can say it rounds day to the nearest day. Let us take the example. So here it is given. So here we are converting this 12 April 71 first to date. Then we are applying round function there, and we are rounding it to this format. So it will be rounding this date as per the month, or we can say it will be rounding the date to either to the beginning of this month or to the beginning of the next month. So, and the formula or the rule for that will be that if date is from 1 to 15, then it will be rounding this date to the current month only, and if date is greater than 15, then it will be rounding that date to the next month, because here we have given this format. Yes, it depends on actually whether it is DD, or YY format. Then the next function is trunc, that again takes this function, that again takes this some date as input and also some format with that. And again, if the format is not specified, by default it will be taking DD format, and then it will be truncating the given date to the nearest day. That we can also apply some arithmetic calculations on the date data type. For example, if we add +1, if we add 1 into the any date, it will be incrementing the date by 1. Like here, if we do select sys date as sys date +1, so it will be telling us that after incrementing the sys date, we will be getting this tomorrow's date. We can also subtract the dates by putting a minus symbol in between the two dates. So here basically we have to convert these data into the date first. So that's why we are again using a toDate function, and after that we have applied this minus in between them, and that is the difference between the two dates, and it will be returning the number of days, or the difference as the number of days between the two dates. This is another example. Then we have some conversion functions that can be used to convert one data type to another data type. For example, sometimes we may be interested in conversion of characters to the numbers. Suppose here we are given this string, that is basically a string having the two digits together. So we want to convert them into the number. So two number can be used here. Again, there is another string, that is 50, and we want to convert them again into the number. So here you can see that after converting these two strings into the numbers, then we are applying some arithmetic calculation there. Sometimes we may be interested in doing the convergence from number to the characters. Like here, this is a number given to us, and we want to convert it into the strings, so it will be converted as string. We may also apply toChar function with the date also. For example, if we want to convert that sysdate to some string, then we may specify this format, that is day, then day, that nth count, then the month, then the year. Then it will be converting that date into this string. This is another format where we have mentioned this format as RM, where RM is Roman numeric month. So this is, here we are calculating this, here we are converting this character into the date, and then we are taking this Roman numeric month from there, and that is again converted into character. So we are getting here this March as Roman number 3. Then we have some aggregate functions in the SQL. Yes, aggregate functions are basically also known as group functions, and that are applied on group of values together, and they are applied basically on the columns. So it will be taking the entire column or the values which you have given depending upon some conditions to it as input, and will be given a single output as return value. So group functions are those statistical functions which gives information about group of values taken as whole. The aggregation function produces a single value for the entire group or the table. In all the group functions, nulls are ignored. These functions are valid if in the select list of the query and the group by clause only. The first function in this category is average, that will be basically returning the average value of the set of values. For example, suppose we want to calculate average salary of all the employees, and where the salary is given as attribute salary. So we can apply this command, that is select average salary, salary is the attribute, from the employee table. It will be giving average salary of all the employees. The count basically gives the count or the number of rows that are present in some column. We can also apply the distinct or all with that, where the distinct mean all values that are unique will be counted, and when we are putting all, it means all the values, whether it is duplicate or not, all will be counted. By default, all is there. The max function returns the maximum of all the values for the given column. For example, if we are interested in getting the maximum salary from the employee table, then we can apply this max cell from emp table. Minimum function returns the minimum one. Sum returns the total of all the values present in the given column. Like it will be giving us the total of the salaries of all the employees. Then there are also some other functions that are available in SQL, like decode. That is basically a kind of nested if then else statement, where we have some base expression, then compare value, or we can say the expression 1 and the is corresponding value, then the expression 2, then the corresponding value, and so on. where the base expression is compared with each, the compare 1, compare 2 and so on, and depending upon with which it matches, its corresponding value is returned. If it doesn't match with any of the compares, the default value will be returned. For example, here in this select command, we have used this decode. This is our base expression. Then this is our first compare and its value. This is our second compare and its value. This is our third compare and its value. So it will be comparing this compare 1, compare 2 and compare 3 with this base expression, and depending upon with which it is matched, its corresponding value will be returned. That's why here the result is 10. Similarly, in the next example, we are given this base expression as 50. This is our compare 1, compare 2, compare 3, and now this is our default value. So now you can see that it is not matched with any of the compares, so it will be returning this default value, that is new value. When default is not given, it will be in the next we can see that we have this base expression as null. Then it is our compare 1, value 1, and then this is our compare 2 and the value 2. So here it is matched with this one, means null, null. So it will be returning this no value. The next function is the greatest, that returns the basically greatest of the expressions given as input. Is when we compare it with the max function. Max function is basically a group function that is applied on the columns only. But when we have to find out the maximum of the expressions when the values are not present there as the columns, then we may apply this greatest function. And when we are passing some strings as input to this function, it will be comparing those strings as per the first character of these strings, and on the basis of their ASCII values, which one is going to be the largest one will be decided. These are few of the functions that we use in SQL. I hope you have got some idea about these functions and you are able to apply these functions in different examples. Thanks for watching the video.